We rent out our camper van when we're not using it, and we make thousands of dollars a month, and we're showing you how you can too. And in this video, we're going to break down the 5 most common mistakes that we see new and even seasoned hosts make, and showing you what you can do instead, so it can save you so much time, money, and headaches.
And if you're new here, my name is James, and this is Deanna, and we help you turn your RV or camper van into a passive and thriving rental business. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. All right, so the first mistake is skipping maintenance checks.
Ooh, nothing is worse than being in the middle of nowhere and something goes wrong, you break down, something like that. Now, it doesn't rain often here in Southern California, but we actually had a trip that was scheduled over the holidays, and this wonderful woman was on her trip, and it was raining like the whole time, so she's already frustrated. But we happened to not check the windshield wipers before she went on her trip, and because we don't use them often, we didn't even really think to check it, but they were dry rotted and they were doing nothing for her when she's driving in these rainstorms. So she actually had to stop, go in, buy new windshield wipers, try to find a place, and then install them in the rain. And so she was already so frustrated, let alone having to replace all this. So of course we reimbursed her for the windshield wipers, and we even, I think, gave her like an extra night on us and apologized profusely to try to make up for it. But by just not skipping a maintenance check and having those windshield wipers taken care of ahead of time, it would have saved her so much stress and us so much stress too, worrying about it.
So now what we make sure to do instead is we always schedule routine maintenance checks ahead of time, and we also have a pre-departure checklist that we do before every trip now.
So just by even having some oil changes on the books or tire rotations, it really makes a big difference.
All right, and that brings us to the second mistake, which is allowing one-night rentals.
Yes. So even though at the beginning, when we get a one-night rental, we're like, yes, we'll take anything.
A booking is a booking.
Right. Like, why would we want to refuse that? But we realized, say that person books it on a Saturday night. So that Saturday night's in the middle of the weekend, and somebody comes along and they want to book either a long weekend or even say like a 2-week trip. Because we just have that one booking, they're not able to book those longer trips. And so what we ended up doing was we have a 3-night minimum now. And so this actually allows people to drive to their location, get settled, enjoy their time, and then have time to actually drive back. So we felt like 3 nights was kind of a good span for us. But what you can actually do is there's a setting where if it's less than 7 days, you can turn on the setting where people are able to put in requests for shorter trips if it's within 7 days. So it's more last minute. So if you see that, oh, you have a night or 2 open and somebody just wants to rent it for a night, you have the choice to allow them to do that then. Okay, so that brings us to mistake number 3, which is not asking for reviews. Now, we've all shopped on Amazon, so we know how important reviews are. And the same with when you go to a rental listing and somebody's about to take a big trip. They're planning it out and they're looking through all of these listings, and they might even be close to booking, but if they're a little on the fence and they go down to check the reviews and there's either no reviews or just one half-hearted one, they might not book your rig. And so it's really important to just get some good reviews on there. And the best way to do it is by asking for them. So what we actually did is we have a message that we send our renters afterwards and say, hey, it would be great if you can leave us a review, and we get so many more reviews that way.
Okay, great. And the 4th mistake is failing to properly screen renters. Now, the platforms, they do their own verification check, but I think it's always a good idea to ask more questions because you want to make sure that they're actually the right fit for you and your van. This could be things like just asking where they're going or seeing what kind of trip they want to take.
Yeah, because we've even had requests for that this woman wanted to take our van from California to Texas. She only booked 2 nights. This was her request. California to Texas, and she wanted to move her mother and her mother's things all within 2 days. And we're like, first of all, I don't even know if you can get to Texas and back in 2 days, let alone we didn't want them using our van as a moving van. And so because we asked these questions ahead of time, we knew it wasn't the right fit. And we said, unfortunately, this isn't, right. And so we declined the rental, but then we ended up getting another rental that was the right fit. So just by asking a few questions, you can feel a lot better better and find the right fit for you. Okay, and that brings us to mistake number 5, skipping the convenience services. Now, convenience services are anything that makes it a better experience for the renter, that makes it more convenient for them. So this could be things like offering delivery, or it could be them prepaying on gas so they don't have to stop at the gas station on the way back. And these are things that maybe you don't even want to do all of the time, but if you set it at a specific price that you're like, maybe I'll charge a little bit more for it so it's worth my time. If somebody wants, then they have the option to book it, and it's a great way to add money to the rental. For example, we don't normally offer delivery, and it's something that kind of takes a lot of time, and we both need to go to be able to drive the other car back, and we need 2 days to do it for drop off and then picking it up again. But what we decided was, we're like, we'll just set it at a pretty high price, and then if somebody wants to book it, it's totally worth our time for that high price. And so we actually got a request that was actually only 2 nights. I don't even usually offer 2 nights either, but they put in a request for 2 nights and also a delivery that was a few hours away. And so they were like, how much could you do this for only 2 nights, a delivery far away, and all of this inconvenience for us? And so we decided on a pretty high price, which was actually a few $1,000s just for this 2 nights, but with the delivery. And they came back right away and said, okay, great. And we realized that it was actually for a celebrity, and they just had 2 nights. They booked it no problem. And we were so glad that we put it at that higher price that we were actually comfortable with inconveniencing ourselves to convenience them. And it really worked out.
All right, so that was the 5 mistakes. Now we actually have 5 more for you guys. So we wrote those up and we put them in a link below this video in the description.
And it has the 5 extra tips on what to do instead. So you can get those below. But we did want to throw in a bonus one for you. And it is assuming that renters are going to remember every detail. When renters arrive, we usually give them a walkthrough, show them how everything works. And we ask if they have any questions, and we're very detailed about it. Usually they're like, nope, we're good. Remember everything. And then a few minutes later, we get messages saying, where was this? How did this work? What am I supposed to do with that again? So a way that it can save us so much time back and forth messaging, but also the renters can feel like they know where everything is and a lot more peace of mind when they're on their trip, is by creating a user manual. So we created a user manual that not only shows how all the systems work in the van and where to find everything and what to do, like even filling the water tank or different camping tips or rules of the road or different RVing practices that will really help them out. But we also have the user manuals for the appliances. Like for our espresso machine, we put the user manual that just comes with the espresso machine in there as well. And what we actually did was we have it as a Canva template. So if you would like to buy it, we actually have it linked for you below. So what you'd have to do is just put in a few details of your rig, but then you'd also have it already designed. You have all the camping tips and all the additional information, so you can just have that for your renters and it'd make it a lot easier.
All right, guys, that is it for today, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.